Hey guys, welcome back to Eye of the Beholder, where we review Dungeons & Dragons miniatures produced by WOTC and WizKids from the year 2003 through 2023. I'm going to try and knock out the last two Undead videos this week. We will be tackling the W's this time around. Wights and Will-O-Wisps and Wraiths, oh my. Plus, an unexpected guest star. From the OG Monster Manual, Wights are second-tier undead, stronger than skeletons and zombies, but weaker than specters and wraiths. They retain their personalities and memories of life, as well as a modicum of free will. Their touch can drain life from a victim, even through armor, which makes them especially dangerous. Guess what happens if a wight drains you completely? Yep, you got it in one. You become a wight.
Right out of the gate, we get our first wight in the 2003 Harbinger set. Crouched so its right knee is practically on the ground, the pose suggests it is either sneaking up on a victim or about to spring forward to launch a surprise attack. The brown tunic and black cape really make the pale skin stand out. We get a bit of facial detailing, but it's really not that good. Score: Paint 13, Pose 14, Playability 14, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 54. Three years later, we get this Terror Wight mini from 2006's War Drum set, and I definitely like this one better. First off, it's a common, but makes it easier to collect a horde of them. The pose also has a more feral look to it, listing to the left with arms out for balance as it staggers towards its target. Facial detailing is better as well, as is the long mane of black hair running down its back. It just looks scary. Score: Paint 14, Pose 18, Playability 16, Pizzazz 15, for a score of 63. As I mentioned earlier, wights are intelligent and can follow orders. This warrior wight from 2008's Dungeons of Dread set would be an example of this. Well armored in plate, it holds a shield to its side while challenging a foe with a raised longsword. Facial detailing could be better, but gotta like the long gray hair. I could see using a couple of these as guards flanking a necromancer's domain. Score: Paint 12, Pose 13, Playability 15, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 53. WotC goes a different way with their final wight, this Deathlock wight from 2008's Demon Web set. It appears to have been a female in life, with its flowing white dress and matching boots giving it an almost incorporeal look. While the pose, just standing there arms to the side, is uninspiring at best, the facial details are the best we've seen so far. That is the face of something that hates life and light. Score: Paint 11, Pose 8, Playability 12, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 43. I was going to review the WizKids wight miniatures individually, but as you can see, they are all a variation of the Warrior Wight template. This is not necessarily a bad thing, as I believe all three are superior to any of the WotC's early offerings. Our first, from 2015's Elemental Evil, is the least armored of the three, sporting just a breastplate and leather kilt. Armed with a short sword, the pallor of its skin is a real plus. Score: Paint 16, Pose 14, Playability 17, Pizzazz 17, for a score of 64. Next is this wight from 2016's Storm King's Thunder set, and he has acquired a pretty gruesome souvenir. I really like the armor detailing on this one. Note how the leg armor only covers the front. From the back, the trousers are visible. Great face hair detailing. The long sword is a bit unusual. And did you note he's carrying a severed head? Score: Paint 17, Pose 21, Playability 17, Pizzazz 23, for a score of 78. Our final wight from 2023's Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen set is a mirror of the last one, sword in right hand versus left, and a very detailed shield in his right, rather than a severed head. Armor is the same as well, except highly polished, indicating these are highly skilled guardians, something the pose suggests as well. Score: Paint 19, Pose 21, Playability 17, Pizzazz 22, for a score of 79.
Will-o-wisps are weak in combat but treacherous by nature. Feeding on strong emotions such as fear or panic, they attempt to lead the unwary from safe paths into danger so they can feed on the intense emotions of their dying victims. They tend to inhabit swampy areas, where their bobbing lights would appear to lost travelers as torches or lanterns, enhanced by the mists and gases of the marsh.
Our first will-o-wisp appears in our last WOTC set, 2010's Lords of Madness. WOTC goes with a white stand with swirls and curves designed to give it a floating appearance above the mists. The will-o-wisp itself is depicted as a clear orb sitting atop the stand, usable, but I see it more as a piece of flair, a crystal ball mounted on an ornate stand sitting in the corner of a spellcaster's library or lab. Score: Paint 10, Pose 12, Playability 17, Pizzazz 14, for a score of 53. WizKids' first will-o-wisp comes in the 2016 Monster Menagerie set. Now this is how I picture a will-o-wisp: multiple orbs partially obscured by a sickly green mist. The very tall, narrow, clear stand gives it the height it would need to play its part. Usable. Score: Paint 12, Pose 14, Playability 16, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 55. Our final will-o-wisp from 2021's Boneyard set is probably the coolest of the three. A large yellow translucent ball orbited by three smaller ones, with each set on a separate branch of a clear stand, which, combined with the clear base, really enhances the floating effect. Yeah, of the three, this is the one I'm going to use. Score: Paint 13, Pose 16, Playability 16, Pizzazz 19, for a score of 64.
I've made 33 videos so far, so I guess it's pretty good that I got this far before misidentifying a monster. The Woe Strider is an aberration, not undead, but since we've already done aberration minis, we'll review it here.
We got our only Woe Strider in 2020's Mythic Odysseys of Theros set. It is posed practically on all fours, skulking forward on its spindly legs and arms. The distinctive face is creature correct, with multiple eyes staring out of a purple void. Depicted with broken shackles and chains as if it has escaped captivity, this would make for a very spooky wandering monster encounter. Score: Paint 14, Pose 15, Playability 11, Pizzazz 15, for a score of 55.
The Wraith is an incorporeal creature of darkness and evil, powerless in sunlight but terrifying in darkness. Like the Wight, they can also drain the life of a victim and turn it into a Wraith subservient to it should its target die. Another undead from the OG Monster Manual that would drain levels permanently, WOTC made the correct choice in getting rid of this ability. Wraiths, along with specters and vampires, are plenty dangerous without it.
Like our first Wight, 2003's Harbinger set also gives us our first Wraith miniature. Completely hidden under voluminous dark purple robes, only the silver of its crown and shoulder armor offset the darkness. And if it isn't powerful enough, it also wields a longsword, although it appears to be ignoring that for now, content to drain life with its outstretched hand. Score: Paint 17, Pose 18, Playability 20, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 80. Only the very oldest and most powerful wraiths evolved to become dread wraiths. These are capable of taking down a dragon single-handed. Run away. This miniature from 2007's Night Below set looks it. From a simple translucent black plastic, the pose this mini conveys is inevitability. You're going to die and probably rise as a slave to it. The longsword in its left hand just adds to the dread. If you look closely, there's some really nice detailing in the swirls and eddies of its body. Score: Paint 20, Pose 25, Playability 16, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 86. Getting back to your average, everyday, horrifying jump scare, we get this Wraith in 2008's Against the Giants set. Called a Lurking Wraith, WOTC added a dark wash to the already dark translucent plastic for detailing, only its dark hands and skull-like visage seem solid. Gliding across the floor, hand raised, it just wants to reach out and touch someone. Score: Paint 16, Pose 15, Playability 15, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 58. We get our first WizKids Wraith in their inaugural set, 2014's Tyranny of Dragons. WizKids goes with a translucent purple for this mini, adding yellow eyes and mouth for a pop of color. Detailing is excellent within the sculpt. You can make out the details of its original armor and helm, with wisps of purple off its back denoting forward motion. Mounting it on a short, sturdy stand was the perfect choice. We get the illusion of flight while the stand remains completely hidden. Score: Paint 15, Pose 22, Playability 18, Pizzazz 23, for a score of 78. A bit of a different look to this Wraith mini from 2021's Boneyard set. WizKids uses a dark translucent plastic that might as well be solid, only the skull has a bit of translucency. Gliding forward with arm outstretched, yellowish eyes fixated on its target. I've gone back and forth on this miniature, but I finally decided I like it. Score: Paint 13, Pose 15, Playability 18, Pizzazz 21, for a score of 67. Sword Wraith warriors are formed when soldiers or mercenaries so devoted to battle that they rose to wreak havoc in their endless war campaign. WizKids gives us two, one from 2021's Boneyard set and the other from 2023's Seas and Shores set. Using a lighter, blue-tinged translucent plastic for the female and a light gray for the male, both minis are certainly kitted out for battle. The female is carrying an especially detailed spectral shield, while the male doesn't feel the need. Scores for both: Paint 13, Pose 15, Playability 12, Pizzazz 16, for a score of 56. Meet Duchess Dionair from 2022's Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft set. I guess just reviewing this mini kind of lets the cat out of the bag, so let's just talk about her. Floating slightly off the ground, she is elegantly dressed in a red ball gown with beautiful detailing on the bodice. A matching headdress and golden mask complete the look, with only translucent bluish hair trailing behind the headdress, revealing her nature. Enough said. Score: Paint 24, Pose 23, Playability 10 or 25 in a Ravenloft setting, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 82/97. Our final Wraith mini comes from 2023's Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen set. They just keep getting wispier and more incorporeal. This one uses a clever base mounting to give it the illusion of flight. We get just the tiniest speck of yellow eyes as it reaches out with both hands. The translucency of the body adds to the menace, in my opinion. Score: Paint 13, Pose 13, Playability 13, Pizzazz, 13, for a score of 52.
Another video done. We'll be finishing up with another staple of Hollywood, the zombie, in our next video. Thanks as always for watching my channel. Feel free to like or comment. Eye of the Beholder, signing off. Watch for the next video in a couple days.